Hey everybody, welcome back to the part 2 of this tutorial. Yes, I did shave. I might look very different now, still the same guy. I shaved because, not that you asked, but I shaved because I wanted to see my double chin go away as I keep losing weight. So don't mind me, I'm sorry if it's a bit of a shock or you're like, this guy's uglier than I thought. But anyway, let's just get right into it. I want to make this video a lot shorter than the other one. I'm going to try and hopefully edit it down a bit. But anyway, in this episode, we're going to go ahead and do a lot of what I call the aesthetic finish, right? So just to go over it real quick, I'm going to go ahead and put on the screen right here this little list that I made, right? Now it's on the screen right now. But I'm going to go ahead and quickly run through it. This is the list of ingredients, the stuff that you'll need to make or to keep making what we're going to finish off today, okay? It won't be complete, but we are going to do a lot of stuff, all right? So first of all, we need a 1 centimeter thick piece of wood. I've got that here. I've already scored it and already put the measurements and the stuff that I want on it. I'm going to go ahead and put it on here. You can pause the video now, but I went ahead and made my own blueprint so you can follow along. You don't have to make it like this. You can do whatever you'd like and be creative, but I'm showing you exactly what I'm doing so that you can follow along. So anyway, let's just read off the list again. That's the piece of wood right here, 1 centimeter thick. That's what I'm working with. I do need you to have wood glue and silicone glue. So here's my wood glue and here's the silicone glue. You don't have to buy this, but this one particularly, I bought this on AliExpress. I'll go ahead and put a screenshot of the exact product that I bought. It's very affordable, and it's really good. I've been using it. It's very strong. It does take a while to dry and cure, but once 24, 48 hours have passed, it's very good. It's just like a good cement glue. The next thing we'll need is a bookmark mold that's made of silicone. What do I mean by that? Well, if you saw the blueprint earlier, it's to make something like this, right? I got this specifically because of the little ridges you get here, sort of like a water effect. But anyway, this is the mold here. I'm putting on screen right now. It's also, most of the stuff is going to be from AliExpress, but there's the screenshot. I can't put links on the description yet. I'm not that kind of YouTuber yet. I'm not famous enough, so sorry. But you should be able to look it up. If it looks anything like the screenshot, it's probably it. You might have a slightly different price, but it's the same product. Anyway, moving onward, we need also gray paint. I'm going to use my Angelus gray paint right here. I'm not going to put that up on the screen because I have it in my hand, and you could just buy this directly from their website. So go ahead and do that. And then a finisher for that paint. Now I do have the wood finish, but I like to apply that directly to wood. This is specifically to apply it directly on top of the plastic paint or acrylic paint. That's what we're using. Okay, so there's that. We need epoxy for our bookmark mold. So any sort of casting epoxy, right? It's usually 2 parts. I've never seen it be just 1 part because then it would come as a solid block. But basically you mix 2 parts. It says on the directions exactly how much. It's usually 1-to-1. Mix it up. Do your thing, and then you pour it into this mold. While you're mixing it, or once you've mixed it up thoroughly and it's see-through still, you can then add our next ingredient, mica powder. So I have some blue mica powder. You don't need to add a whole lot, but the more you add, how should I say this? The more colorful, even though that's kind of weird, because if you add just a little bit, it will change the color immediately, but the more you add, the thicker the color becomes, if that makes more sense, to the point where it's no longer see-through, depending on how much you add. As an example, I have these little photo holders, right? Okay, so anyway, this back, it's only a tiny piece, right? It's only like the top layer. Anyway, but if you can tell, it's not very see-through, but if I put it against direct sunlight, I can't show you now. I guess I could. No, actually, I can't show you. Sorry. But this is semi see-through. If I were to add more of the blue dye, even if I made this thin of a layer, it would become less and less see-through. Anyway, it's up to you because you can use mica powder or you can use dyes, but please make sure you use the right dyes because some of them will fade in the sun. Anyway, that's how you get this, right? So you mix up your clear epoxy, you put in your colorant, whatever you want to use. I'm going to use mica powder from now on. This isn't made with mica powder, so I know a bad example, but I'm not pouring it out today anyway. And the final ingredient, when you mix up the mica powder, you can then add glow-in-the-dark powder. Now this obscures the liquid, so if you wanted it to be very see-through, or maybe you want the mica powder to like really shine, this will dull that out a little bit, but the trade-off is that it gets to glow in the dark. Now I got this off of eBay, but you can get them on their website. It's right here, this right here, Art and Glow. You can just Google that and you can buy it directly from them. They have very affordable prices, or at least for what it is, I think. And they're very good. They're very high quality. It doesn't take a whole lot to charge them. It's nice. All right. Oh, I almost forgot. I think I skipped over it. And of course, we need grass tuft, right? Or turf. Sorry, I said tuft. I'm going to put the link right here. I did get this off of AliExpress. I have a couple of chunks here that I could show you. This, when you first get it, will be very hairy and like it just comes off. It goes everywhere. Don't be alarmed. It's pretty normal. All right, but here it is. Right, it's very thin. But the reason we're going to use wood glue is we're going to use it to glue these parts. Now, well, the cool thing about this is you can cut it with some regular metal scissors. As long as they're not very dull, you should be able to cut just fine. Because it's like a very thin fabric. It's a whole bunch of little hairs put together, basically. But anyway, you do want this to go ahead and make like the park bit that we're going to make. Okay, so that's all the ingredients. One thing that I didn't write on that little list was, whoa, hold on a minute. Sorry to interrupt, but I didn't put it on the ingredients list, but you're going to need a drill. I have this Neato Burrito vintage drill. I just like doing things by hand, but a power drill would just do just fine. And you want to make sure you have a drill bit to make holes because we're going to make the pilot holes for the railing that we might put on anywhere here, right? Depends on your design, but my design specifically, I'm going to put the fountain in the middle, and then I'm going to put one of these railings on. I'll put that up here on the screen for you, that AliExpress link, but I'm going to talk more about these in the last video because we're going to install them then, not this time, okay? We're just going to use this to go ahead and mark where the hole should be on the object so that we can drill the holes and then, you know, get on with the process. Because the fact is that when we drill the holes, that makes it easier when we cover it up with the grass that we're going to do, so that when it's all dry and glued up and stuff, you could just kind of cut a hole in there and force a bolt through it or whatever you're using, right? Yeah, because if we put on the grass and then try to drill it, it's going to be hard to know where it is. We can't mark it because it'll be on top of grass, etc. So anyway, I completely forgot. I'm so sorry, but back to what I was saying. Let's get into the tutorial. The kind of brush that we might use to apply our paint and our finish. Here's the thing. Last video, I already told you that you're going to be using these kinds of sponges often. So just assume that it's going to be one of these. I am going to actually use my airbrush to do what we're going to do. But I'm going to assume that you don't have an airbrush because even though they're not too expensive nowadays, they're still not cheap. You know, you can't get one for 20 bucks. It's more like $100. So we'll stick to the $1 brushes. I'm sure, you know, the cool thing about these is that they really keep from bubbles accumulating on the top from having like an uneven surface. And if you do multiple thin layers, it'll work out for you. Anyway, okay, so that's what we're going to start off with. Now, one sec. So here's the thing. Since I'm making this to actually sell them, I just recently got a hold of something from my very close friend, very best friend. I don't really want to say their name, but I know who they are. They watch my channel. I just don't like doxing people, you know. But anyway, they gave me a laser engraver. Now, in just a couple of minutes, I'm about to show you that thing in action. I set it up yesterday. I started playing with it. And so I made, you remember these? Now, I didn't finish them on the bottom because I wanted to put my logo on first. And then I got the laser engraver and I was able to do that. Now, it's quite a rigmarole of things that I had to do. I had to really like do things the long way to get the design through. But long story short, I can show you. I drew my own logo, right? No stealing. I drew my own logo. I took a picture of it. I black and whited it in an editing program, like a simple, free, basic editing program. I just made it black and white or grayscaled it. And then within the laser engraving program that came with that engraver that you're about to see, I was able to transfer that image that I had edited down and then adjust the brightness and stuff to where it only lasered out mostly just the outline. You could see right here, that corner, where I think it was like shading marks or something like on the picture where I must have smudged the pencil somehow and like made that area darker. So the engraver still registered that as black, even though it wasn't. Anyway, I think it looks pretty good though. I honestly, it to me, it looks kind of sick. So I just decided to keep it because I could have done stuff to edit it down and fix it. But I wasn't tired of it. I just wanted to do that. Anyway, I left you guys one unfinished board. I have all the other ones done. But as you can see, the top is fully finished. It's very nice and colorful. And this isn't. Because on the engraver, I don't know how it would react. The laser burning off the chemical finish. Right? So anyway, that's enough out of me. That's enough of an intro. We've gone long enough. First off, we're going to do the engraving. Then we're going to build the fountain part, like the wooden fountain parts. I might show like a little bit of me cutting this up, maybe. But we'll cut this, stick all the fountain parts together with some glue. Then we'll wait for that to dry and cure. And then we'll go ahead and paint it all. And then we'll finally install it onto our board here. And after we install the fountain piece, depending on where it is, we can then cut up a bunch of grass pieces and start gluing them down and finishing this off. Okay, so that's going to be sort of the process. Anyway, let's get to the laser engraving. All right, so we're back. You just saw the engraver kind of do its thing. You might have noticed, hey Archon, why is that the wrong side round? Well, I had the idea because I don't think I've shown you yet, but I had the idea that if I was going to mess something up, I should mess it up in a special way. That way it'll be like those Nike shoes that are really popular, right? Well, obviously Jordans, but what I'm getting at is a lot of people like Jordans with defects, especially really expensive Jordans that are already really expensive just from the get-go. People like that. But anyway, I had already messed this one up. This is the one that we're going to work on, right? But check it out. Remember how I told you not to miss any spots? I made 8 total with this one included. But this one I've been messing up royally. I got some glue here that's messed up the way that the stain worked out. I somehow completely forgot to paint that. And by the time I noticed, I had already I was looking at it down and I already brushed the finish on. So I would have had to scrape it off and then restain it. And I just figured, you know what, let's just run with it, man. And then for this, I already know that the laser engraver, you have to reverse or mirror the image before you put it through the engraving process, because obviously it's going to come out like this, right? The other way around. All the other ones came out fine because I made extra sure and I did practice runs before I even did anything. This one, I already knew what I was doing, so I just made it like that. Because I'm going to end up giving this one away to my my very good friend who gave me that engraver. Exactly. So, and I figured, hey, he really likes collecting stuff. You know, again, you know who you are, buddy. So I think he's going to really dig the fact that a lot of these defects are on purpose and they're not present in any of the other ones. The other ones will always have this high quality presence to them, which is what I want. But that'll be cool also because when I do stuff like this and mess it up, it'll be so rare that people will be like, hey, that's on purpose. Yeah, even if it wasn't. like this this definitely was not on purpose. But anyway, I'm getting sidetracked. That's enough babbling out of me. What's the next thing that we're going to do? Well, I'm going to go ahead and cut this up. Real quick, I'll cut up all the sizes that I need for it. But basically, we're going to make, I'll put it on the screen right now, right here. Oh, and these glasses, don't worry, I don't wear giant glasses like that. Not that you asked, but they're really important for the laser engraver. If you get one, you have to have eye protection, please. Lasers and UV light will make you blind. And if not, best case scenario, you will lose eyesight and you will need glasses and all kinds of corrective measures. It sucks. So don't do it. Be safe. But moving on, I'm putting it on screen. Why am I holding up? We're going to be doing that. Okay, so it's a very simple diagram. It might be a little confusing. But long story short, it'll be 2 long bars on each side of this, right? As shown in the picture. And right here. There'll be one on the side here, and then one on top covering the edge, sort of, as well. That's the idea. I'm thinking of whether or not I'll do it like that. I might change it halfway through the build, but again, that's why you build blueprints, to see how it might look, how it might work out. If you figure out a better way than I did, or if I figure out a better way, well, that's the whole point of doing this, right? But anyway, again, I can just keep going on and on and on. So let's go ahead and just get to the next part. I'm going to cut this up, and then I'll cut the video after I've cut the wood. All right, I'll see you guys in a bit. All right, so here we are. I just finished cleaning up after cutting the wood and stuff. And I was setting it up. I'll show you just in a second. It's right here. But I was looking over, I'll put it up here right now, and I'm looking at the wood now, and I'm going to do it a bit differently. So I already, as it switches over here, I went ahead and crossed out the one that we're not going to use. We're not going to use one of the long bars on the side, because I want to be able to see like the little ridges. I didn't really think about that visually. I was just trying to make like a fountain shape. Anyway, so we're not going to use a top layer for the very long bits, as you can see there. And we're going to use 2 5-centimeter bits for the shorter sides on each side, right? So let me just show you what I mean. I went ahead and showed you on the drawing, but as you can see here, so I have it set up like this where we only have this bar, because I originally had planned to have it sort of like this on both sides, right? Well, actually, let's put it on this side so you can see, right? Which looks pretty cool. It's not too bad, but if I do that, it covers up this little detailed ridge. And I personally actually want to see that. So I'm going to go ahead and not cover it up. So we're not going to use that top layer as I showed there. And instead, also, these bits, they're slightly longer one way than they are the other. So I'm going to go ahead and put them like this. They fit really snug. They're very flush here. It's nice. It means they're flat against each other. And put these here. Sorry, I'm just fiddling with it. It's not really important right now. And then these, instead of the putting the long ways down, we're going to stand them up. Because the real reason I even want to cover any part of it is because of that hole for the bookmark on the epoxy mold. You can get all sorts of molds, but I just found that this is like the perfect thickness. It has the details. All I have to overcome is that tiny hole. So I was like, honestly, that's not too big a deal. I'll just use that. But anyway, so here's how it should look once completed, right? Awesome. And you may not be able to tell from there once I show you, but you can't see the hole that's right here. And that's nice. Perfect. Okay. So we're going to do that. But before we do any of that, I'm going to go ahead and start gluing the pieces together. I'll probably cut two when I start gluing it, but I'm going to use these tiny little clamps that I have. They're not too expensive. They did go up in price recently, but they're still not too expensive. They're like $5 for two of these. That's not too bad. It used to be $5 for like a bigger one. But anyway, yeah, I'm going to go ahead and just glue them. I'm going to glue them in two segments. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to glue, because I have two of these ready, I'm going to go ahead and glue two frames like this. One here, one there. All right, obviously. And then once that dries, I'm going to go ahead and glue this piece while the water's underneath so we can get like the proper spacing. But I'm not going to glue this onto it yet. We're not going to do that. We're just gluing all the wood so that then we can paint it. All right, let's go ahead and just cut to that. Or maybe I'll show you what I'm doing. All right, let's go. All right, so you just saw we just finished up making the two frames. So we're gonna let them dry and we'll cut to gluing the other part. That'll be a lot easier. You might have seen me finicking a bit with the putting the clamps on and whatnot, but we'll get it done. You know, if you have trouble, don't worry. This is one of the trickier things to do, but it's not too hard. They're just really small. You know, you'll get used to it. Anyway, let's put on the other parts so that we can move on. All right, so we have been waiting. It's been like 30 minutes. So I'm gonna go ahead and put these two parts here. I have the water feature here because when I glue it, I want it to have like just enough space so that it raises up. Oh man, a hard time putting it on and showing you. They will be a snug fit, but that's what we want. And we're only gonna glue one side, which is this side. Right, we're gonna glue this side part and glue it to the edge here. We're not gonna glue the tiny dots on this side. I don't think that's very necessary. The wood glue is very strong. It doesn't seem like it because you're like, it's liquid, it's weird, but no, it's very strong. So we're gonna go ahead and do that. I'll do it probably, you know, do a little fast forward or something. By the way, if the lighting's a bit off or weird, sorry about that. I destroyed my little stand. I have you right now on this stand, but this is what's left of it. I didn't mean to, obviously. Sorry, I smacked you there. I was moving around, cleaning stuff around, and I accidentally yanked it without meaning to. I didn't look, and I pulled my arm away, and I made it go flying, and it snapped right at the joint there. But anyway, I'll get another one soon, but that's if the lighting's off now, you know. But let's get this going. Just so that you guys know, while you're clamping these down, you don't want to go too hard. Now, it does depend on the strength of the wood that you're using and what kind of wood you're using. But just as a rule of thumb, I wouldn't really go crazy because, again, the glue is very strong and you're not gluing like two giant pieces of lumber. You're gluing a small handmade project. So just, I think I overdid it there. Just tighten it enough. I'm trying to undo there you go. So that you can make sure that the wood pieces are joined. But don't tighten it too much because if you overdo it, you will snap this whole thing apart. It'll just explode on you because wood is strong, but really small bits of wood are not. Anyway, I'm going to finish this other one. We'll wait until it's done and then we'll get to painting. I'll see you right now. Alrighty, so we're at the next step. We're about to, well, I'm about to airbrush the two fountain parts. We're just gonna go with a standard gray, nothing crazy. I already showed you this, but this is a dark gray from Angelus. We're gonna go ahead and just use that. I used a bit of thinner so that it goes through the airbrush a lot better because thick acrylic paint will not go through the airbrush. It'll actually clog it, mess it up. But anyway, I have my setup here. Let me move you real quick. Try and do this without covering the camera. So there's my airbrush. The paint's already in there. I mixed it in here. You can use like throwaway cups. They sell those at the dollar store, like in packs of 20 and 50. But I'm not gonna paint them over my cutting mat. I'm actually gonna paint them now. I'm gonna angle you here. Right there. Alrighty, so I'm gonna go ahead and leave you there. And I'll probably stay quiet because I'm gonna go ahead and put my mask on. But I'll just go ahead and edit it and show you as I airbrush it, okay? But this will be the last thing we're doing until tomorrow. This will be the last thing we're doing until tomorrow. Just because I do have to wait for the paint to fully dry before I can put the acrylic finisher. Because if not, as I'm putting the finisher on, whatever I'm using to put the finish on, at least in this case, it'll start making the brush stick to the paint because it's not fully cured yet. Okay, just so that you know, if you're using this paint specifically, or any old paint, just make sure it's dry before you do the next layer and so forth. Anyway, I'm gonna move the camera over, get things settled in, and then we'll get to painting, okay? All right. So I think I'm done airbrushing. It's taken me about 15 minutes to do it. Just to let you know how long it takes. It doesn't really take all that longer or all that short. What am I trying to say? It's not faster or shorter to use the airbrush, in my opinion. But it also took me a long time because I spilled a whole bunch of it. I might have shown you there. Anyway, you might have seen me not wear any gloves. Well, the honest truth is that right now I'm running low on gloves and I'm trying to save them for when I use epoxy because they're a lot more useful in that situation. Because to be honest, unless it's dye, like this acrylic paint is rarely easy to wash off, right? And I'm the kind of person that'll just, I'm about to go and wash my hands now, you know? So it's not too bad and it's not very toxic to the environment, you know, compared to some stuff. It is, it's not, you shouldn't put it down the drain or anything, but I'm just saying, you know, like the alcohol dye that I have there, that's very toxic to all kinds of things. And if you get it on your hands, it takes days for it to come off. But this will come off right now. So just in case why you were wondering, because I was still wearing this, because this still gets really nasty. It still hasn't showed up yet. Wow. I can't tell in this lighting, but it feels like it's not white anymore. It's like off-white. Anyway, I'm going to go ahead and let those dry. And then I'll just cut from here to when we're about to finish them with the acrylic finisher. Alrighty. I'll see you guys tomorrow, or like in 5 seconds. All right. So it's the next day for me. I have my two finished, well, not finished, two dried little fountain heads, basically. I don't know if that would be the word, but what we're going to do now is I have my little pouring cup that I reuse, and then my finisher, and this cheap, I mean, the pack cost me $1, so like that thing was like 10 cents. Anyway, let's go ahead and let's just get right in. Oh, sorry, I noticed that this is not perfectly clear, or clean, I should say. It's kind of dusty. That's one thing. Make sure that whatever you pour your finish onto, like if it's a container, make sure it's not full of little bits, because those will come out on anything that you spread it on, right? Anyway, this is very liquid. It's almost like water. Almost, because it's almost like milk, if anything, right? But anyway, I'm saying that because you don't really want to soak the brush, because when you brush it, it's just gonna drench everything and not really set like a finish. So do a very light, just a tip, and you know, here we go. Here we go. Now I'm gonna do like half of it first, one side. So I'll do like the bottom and this side, and then go to the next one, and then so forth. That way I can give myself some time and space to touch it without getting the finish all over my hand, right? Actually, in fact, I think I'm gonna go further and do everything except the bar that I'm holding, yeah? That way we remember what we did and didn't put finish on. So I could just make sure to put finish on every bit except this bar here, right? So there we go, nothing to it. Just making sure. See, what you don't really want is for that to be happening. See the bubbles there? You can get rid of them by just going somewhere else, applying the finish where there's less or it's kind of dry, lightly brushing over it to like put that finish on there, and then you can come back to that spot and soak the finish back up, like the excess. See that? Oh, I have some up here, I just noticed. But anyway. Okay, so I'm doing this. I'll go ahead and cut right now to when I'm finishing up. That's this one, right? Go ahead and cut now to where I'm finishing up both of them. I'm just getting the finishing touches, and then we'll go from there. All right, so that's done. I poured out way too much finish. So what I'm gonna go ahead and do is just let them dry out. Because it's such a thin layer of finish, I'm not gonna put more than one. I don't think that's necessary. I think it's just important that you seal in the paint so that when something lands on it or one of the fingerboards hits it, it doesn't immediately chip and peel the whole paint away. But honestly, that one layer is more than enough, because if you keep tacking on layers, it'll become cloudy, and there's like this obvious layer on top, at least with this stuff. Anyway, there's that. Next, we're going to go ahead and install this right underneath it, and then install it on here, right? And then I'll show you that in a sec once they dry up. And then once we install them, we'll go ahead and drill the pilot holes for our bar for this particular one that we're gonna make. And then I said bar for the rail. I was thinking about the word as I was speaking, and I couldn't keep, I couldn't figure it out. Anyway, so let's go ahead and wait for that. I'll see you in a bit. All right. So it's been quite a few minutes. It's been like an hour. I let it get nice and dry. So that way I can, the reason I really want to do, sorry, I just smacked my mic again, is because you're going to clamp it down, right? When it starts gluing. And you don't want it to get stuck to the clamp. You don't want it to get stuck to the clamp because the finish will stick to whatever it's on. That's kind of its job, right? To stick to it until it dries up. Anyway, so it's all ready. I don't know if you noticed, but when I was doing the airbrush, I didn't paint this. This is on purpose because I didn't paint this inside because, as you might be able to tell, it's possible that it's still visible, right? From the top, you could probably still see here if it was still like not colored. But the reason I didn't color this was because we're going to glue it onto the board. And the glue needs something to stick to, and it'll stick to this wood really well. But if it had a layer of paint on top of it, it would stick to the paint, not the wood. And that's not necessarily a problem, but if you at any time just were a bit too rough with it or hit it too hard by accident, it'll just peel off with the paint, and the glue will stay here. Like, you'll just have a rectangle of glue, and all of the paint will have been stripped off of the bottom. So you don't want to paint the bottom. That wasn't a mistake. That's on purpose. You don't really want a little bit of paint. It's not a big deal because the rest of it will do its job. But you don't want to cover what you're gluing with paint or finish, because it'll really have a hard time sticking on to the thing that you're sticking it to. I know this is finished, and I shouldn't really be doing it on top of the finish, but for the demonstration, I don't think it's too bad. And also, I've made these before like this, and I think, with all these extra steps, including this one, I think it'll hold on really well. You don't really need to screw it on because, again, that glue is really powerful. So let's just go ahead and get it done. I'm going to keep this in here because the way it is and it's flush, there's no way for me to put it inside and once I put it down. So it has to be in already, the water. Anyway, so what I'm going to do is carefully, we're going to put glue all over the edge, but I'm going to try to get closer to this side, the outside edge, so that when I squeeze it down, because there's not really a chance for me or space to clean this up, I don't really want glue sticking out of that area. So I'm going to press it down, and hopefully it'll squeeze out a little bit inside and cover the rest of the area, but all the excess will squeeze out the edge, right? And we can then clean that up. Okay, so let's try that. If you know anything about wood glue, you don't need a whole lot for it to do its job, especially because when you're joining two pieces of wood, there's not really a whole lot of space in between them. You don't really think about that when you're gluing, but that's the reality. So anyway, here we go. This ought to be pretty quick. So I probably won't skip here, but I'll let you endure watching me do this. All right. Awesome. So like I said, you see, I try to stick to the edge, right? And then once we place it down, we're going to do a very small shuffle, just like a tiny wiggle, a little wax on, wax off, but very, very small circles. And I'll tell you why in a sec. So we're going to put it down very gently. Okay. And then we're going to wiggle it just a little bit and then press down on it. But we're not going to press down with our hands. We're going to press down with the clamps. Okay. To go ahead and start getting it set where we want it to be set. Okay. And again, it's the same principle with these clamps that everything else we've been doing. Don't clamp it down very hard. The whole point is just to join the two pieces. Woo. Now this is a bit tricky, obviously, but it is worth it to take your time and get it done right. Okay, there's nothing wrong with making mistakes. It's like what I just did, it slipped out of my hand. You just have to consider that they happen, relax, keep going. Alrighty, here we go. I'm doing the corner technique. So, I don't know what happened there, but I'm at the, I have to check underneath. Oh yeah, see, I might have gotten the, here, sorry, one sec. Yeah, so as I was clamping it down, I think I got up, yeah. Okay. See that? When I clamped it, I grabbed onto this and it slipped off. Anyway, now we know. Again, you do want to clamp it down enough that you can even see like the glue coming out like that. But that's about as far as you really want to go. You don't want to keep pressing down because again, you want something to be holding on. You don't want to squeeze all the glue out and then there's no glue. It's not even stuck to it, right? But anyway, here, final clamp. Let's get it done. Let's try and hurry. Make sure, yeah, okay. This time we're all good. Good to go. Okay. I heard it stress a little when I squeezed that last one. It's like, don't squeeze me more. Alrighty. So this is what we got going on, right? As you can see, there's some glue sticking out there and there, all over the edge, really. But if we take a look inside, I don't know about you, but I can't. I know it's a bit reflective, but I can't see any glue. Yeah, it came out great. I think that's a good job. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead. I'll show you. I'm gonna get one of my famous dollar store napkins, and we're gonna make a stiff corner or like a edge like this. Like we want to fold it until it's like a nice, almost blunt edge, right? Because we're gonna come in here and we're just gonna squeeze the excess off. This will all be covered by the grass, but you don't want too much glue to just be left over because it'll be in the way of the other glue that's gonna set the set the grass down. Oh my goodness. All right, so there's that piece. Go here. And it doesn't have to be perfect. We just want to get rid of that excess and not leave too much of a mess. Now this, can't see it, but I just kind of smudged it there instead of clean it. So we're gonna give it another pass. All right, so I'm just gonna go ahead and cut it here. We're gonna go ahead and move on to the next step. After this dries, okay? So I'm gonna go ahead and wait for it to dry, make sure everything's good and even and it's not too messy. And then we'll see you in the next spot. All right, so I waited a while. We went, I went ahead and took off the clamps. And now on for the next part, okay? So now I'm gonna put it up here on screen. Where I bought this, I bought it on AliExpress as well. Now the thing is, you don't have to use this. You can use any old thing that you want. You can even take some of the pieces of wood that we made previously and you can put them together with screws and do that. But this is just what I'm using for this demonstration, okay? Because also on AliExpress, you can buy molds for epoxy so you can make stuff like this. A little curved rail, right? Which is, it's not actually what it's sold as. I'll show you right here what it is. That's not part of the build, but just as an example of what you might be able to use, right? You can use stuff like this, which is meant to be like a drawer handle, right? But instead we can retrofit it to be rails, right? Anyway, so that's that. The reason I have this here and I didn't put it on the ingredients list is we're not going to install it just yet, but I do need to make the holes where I'm going to do it eventually, because if I don't drill the holes now, like I said earlier, it's just going to be a huge problem. So it's just better to do it now. So this is already stuck, right? So I'm just going to go ahead and put this where I think it would look best. This is for my buddy, like I said, so I'm actually making it the way I think he would like it. Because when I first made the first batch of these, I didn't record myself doing that. He asked me, hey, how come you don't put a rail that goes across the water instead of like, because I had one where the rail was like here and here. So sort of like a barrier, and then you would jump from one side to the other. And there was grass and stuff like we're gonna do in this one. But anyway, he just asked me that. It didn't really occur to me. So I just thought, oh, I'll make him one instead. Anyway, okay. I'm just making sure because we are gonna screw down. I was just making sure that it wasn't gonna bother the logo, but also it wasn't gonna go through this middle part because this is like a support. Anyway, so what we're gonna do now, this is a 1/8 of an inch drill bit, just so that you know, for the AliExpress ones, because the ones that I bought, they came with this, as well as the 2 screws. And these 2 screws are just about that thickness, 1/8. So we're gonna make the hole so that the screw can just go all the way through, no problem. Screws through here. Oh, I used the wrong drill bit. I'll be right back. Alrighty. So turns out it's not a 1/8 drill bit that you need. It's a 3/16. It's just one size up. My mistake. Sorry about that. When you're working on more than one thing at once, you can get pretty confused as to what tools you were using for what project. That's not an excuse, obviously. I'm just letting you know that I made a silly mistake. But anyway, we'll continue. All right, there we go. We got through it in the end. I'll probably just cut out the bit where it took forever. Anyway. Okay, as you can see, there are the holes, right? Great. That's generally what you want. It's not perfect yet, but as you can see, yeah, that'll do. Now again, it didn't come out perfectly straight, and that's honestly my fault. But if anything, it gives it a little bit of character because it's not like super slanted. It's just, this is a little crooked. I mean, who doesn't like free stuff anyway, right? At this point, I'm just making excuses for every mistake I make, which is funny because I didn't make that many mistakes the first time I made these. You live and learn. Anyway, we're going to move on to the next part because, again, we're not installing this bit just yet. This is for the next video, the last one. And that's basically the final piece of what we're doing. After here, we're going to start cutting up and gluing the grass. Okay, so I'll see you there. Okay, so we're finally towards the last bit of the video, at least for today. Here we are. So I have my grass here. I have it in this Ziploc because, like I said earlier, it's very hairy. It loosens itself upon everything. But don't worry, that's just towards the beginning. And most of the good stuff is green stuff. It doesn't really come off. A lot of it does. Like I said, don't get it twisted. You know, it's definitely going to be hairy everywhere. But I think that sort of works for. Here, I'll show you. This is a new piece that I haven't really messed with or cut. So as I'm just shaking it around, see all those little. Now, of course, I have a trash can right down here, so no worries. But what we're gonna do here is we're gonna match pieces, right? So here I can see that I have a piece that would be long enough, right? Now I'm gonna start cutting them and sort of making a path and area for all this stuff, okay? So for example, I'm gonna put a border on each side of this, covering that hole. That's why we drilled it now, so that when we glue it down, all we got to do is kind of prick the hole open, and then we can install the rail on top, no problem, you know? Instead of having to figure out how to drill a hole and make sure it's on the right spot through the grass. Anyway, here we are. So I'm going to put some on this side, some on this side, but I'm also going to put a trim on this edge and this edge. I'll show you on these two edges right here. I'll probably put like a trim down and a trim down as well here. Something pretty simple, but also creative. You know, you'll see what I mean in a bit, but that's the idea, okay? What we're going to use as well is our wood glue. Now, it's not particularly because it's wood that we're working with, although that's fine. We're using wood glue because this particular glue, I have found that when you glue the pieces, the glue seeps through and into like the layers, right? Into this fabric, and it dries up and stiffens the grass, which I think is a good thing because then it really holds its place. It's not like this loose grass that just kind of flops off or can be torn off easily. It really holds it together. And it also helps stabilize when you're installing the rails. That stiffness adds like this layer of like buffering. Anyway, I could go on and on. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut up these pieces, make sure they're the right placement, figure out where I'm going to put them and stuff, and then we'll do the gluing, okay? And that'll be it. So I'll probably do a little montage, maybe just like me cutting pieces up and stuff. We'll see, but let's get to it. Alrighty, so I already finished up. I'll go ahead and show you. I'll move the camera down just a little bit more. All right, so as you can see, I've got the grass laid out. I think it looks pretty good. Now, I am concerned that I might have not put enough grass in this certain area to cover up the washer that we're going to use. Now, I'm going to use a washer because I'm specifically using these, but you don't have to. Just letting you know. And anyway, these were all made with 3 parts. You saw me cutting them up probably. So each side has 3 parts to them. Let's go ahead and just start gluing them. So I'm just going to leave you there on that area. Let's go. Now you do want to put about this much. Don't worry. I know usually when you use wood glue and you put it on wood, you want to use a lot less than this, but we're not doing that. Again, you want the glue to kind of soak in to the fabric that we're using. It's not really fabric, but you know what I mean. It's kind of like woven fake grass. And we're really trying to simulate that and keep it in one place as well. So like I'm showing you, you also, once you put it down where it goes, pat it down. Pat it down. You might get your fingers a little sticky or wet, but don't worry. Again, this glue needs to spread and get all over the inside because it won't come out on top. Unless you put a ton of it, it won't come out to the top. So you do want to get all of it spread out in the bottom, maybe even give it a little bit of a wiggle. Careful with that though. You don't want to expose all the glue and get really nasty glue marks. All right, tapping away all the excess grass. You can glue on top of that. It doesn't make a difference. It's all going to get glued. Anyway, back to the process. All right. So as you see, we're finally done, at least gluing, right? It's not dry yet or anything. It's even got still a bit of fluffs on it. But anyway, check it out. Incredible. And like, you know, the holes are still there and there might be some glue, but it'll be a lot easier to deal with now that we've done all this, you know? All right, so we're gonna go ahead and let it dry for a good hour. That way it's nice and dry and stiff. And that way it's workable, because you don't wanna mess with it before it's dry. It'll start tearing in the wrong places, it'll just be a mess. So really let it dry, maybe even a whole day, and then you come back to it, right? But yeah, I think that this concludes our tutorial for the part 2. So far, if you've been following along, we really gotten far. This used to be just plain old wood, and now we've gotten here. I'll go ahead and adjust you for a sec. I have to keep crouching down. But yeah, I think I'll go ahead and do a quick outro. I'm not going to show you after it's dry because you won't look very different. But for part 3, we're going to go ahead and finish it up. Wow, excuse me. We're going to go ahead and finish it up. And I would like to be able to show you different examples of other ones that I'll have made. So that's the whole reason I'm editing it here, really. Because I could finish the video off by finishing the whole thing. But I want to give you guys some examples of what you can really do with this stuff, you know? And it won't be too different. You won't be needing too many different things. If you're already getting epoxy, there'll be things for that. If you're going to paint it anyway, there's extra ways of painting it. Like the ones that I did before, you might have seen them in a different video. They had some like brick outlines here that I did with a stencil and my airbrush. I didn't do it here because I wanted a more naturalistic look. That's just how I wanted to do this one. And I want it to be easy for someone that's following along. I didn't want to put too many steps. So anyway, I'm going to go ahead and see what I'm going to show you guys for an outro, maybe another CD, and then we'll see you there, all right? All right, so welcome to the outro. We finally got some work done. Oh yeah, we obviously just finished talking about that, but I went and got some CDs to showcase just before we say goodbye. Also, if you made it this far, thank you very much. It really does mean a lot to me. The 20 views that I get per video, honestly, well, sometimes less, but honestly, I'm just grateful that anyone even cares or like is finding this useful or entertaining. Thanks. Whether you know me or not, thanks. That's awesome. And in case you're wondering, the very next 3 videos are going to be the playthrough that we've been working on, okay? More dark wood. I'm really hoping to play more of that and actually get like more longer form videos out. You know, like I said in the tuna video, if you saw that, I just don't realize sometimes how much memory all this takes. Like not my memory. I mean, like on my phone. I'm working on my phone and my laptop. That's all I've got so far right now. And long story short, I've only got a certain amount of gigs to work with. And these videos take a lot of space, but I'm not complaining. I just got to pace myself. You know what I mean? Anyway, I want to show you one of my favorite artists, but that is very modern. You know, it's not one of these, because I like a lot of old artists. And by old, I mean artists that came out before I was even born. But for example, there's this new guy. It's kind of like Zoomer. I don't like using that word, but it's like Zoomer culture-ish kind of music, right? It's indie music, indie pop, rock, right? Anyway, these 2 albums are by somebody named J.W. Francis, okay? Now, they don't have any names on the cover, and if you might notice that these are like paper CD albums, right? A hint for you out there, if you find something like this, and it's at least 20 years old, look it up. It's worth money. I promise. Okay? Because usually these are like, this is how people release CDs back then and now when they didn't have a whole lot of money. When you don't have money for like the plastic jewel cases is what they're called. They're just the regular CD cases. You know, they might even have special prints on them. But anyway, this guy, like I said, it's an indie rock. Very good. This album is called Wander Kid. One word, but like wandering kid. And this one is called, I believe it's called Dream House, right? They're both very good. A lot of vocals and, how should I say, like swinging electric guitar sounds. I know that doesn't make much sense, but if you just listen to it, just check it out. Again, these are the covers. This is Wonder Kid. Okay. There's nothing in there, but I mean, obviously my CD is in here, right? Fantastic. This album is from 2021, I believe. Let me check that. Yes, 2021. And then this album, Dream House, I believe is an older album. No, it's a new album. This is for 2023. This is very new. And same, there's not a whole lot of style, but I said style. There's not a whole lot to look at, but I like the style. That's what I was trying to say. Sorry. See that? It was kind of cute in a way, you know? But anyway, I really wish I could show you all these sounds that I tell you about, but Spotify, YouTube, a lot of these places show this stuff for free. He might even have like a Bandcamp where he shows this for free. But yeah, check it out. Very good music. I think you might like it. You might not. Anyway, I've babbled on for long enough. I'm really glad that you guys were here to see me complete this, or this part of the tutorial. I'm glad that if you are looking at this, trying to figure it out and see how to make something like this, that you're seeing that honestly with like $30 worth of material with some time and effort, you can really get something together that's nice, right? So just so you know, you can make things happen for yourself, all right? Anyway, I'm Archon. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you later. And I love you all, Laura.